Today we will discuss how to read texts and answer the accompanying questions. I will show you my approach to a text. Before I actually do any reading of the text itself, I start by reading the title, looking at the writers, any pictures, source and, if there are any, subheadings. This helps me to establish the topic of the text and activates previous knowledge on the subject, which can help me in understanding the text better. Judging from the title, I think this text will have something to do with the online video platform YouTube. Looking at the picture, I would think that it is about content creators writing books. Then I read the first question, which asks for information from the first two paragraphs. I highlight this part of the text just to keep my attention focused on the part of the text that is absolutely necessary for this question. After reading the question, I read the required bit of text.
The books coming out now are dominated by YouTube celebrities, better known in marketing speak as influencers. The names change. Melanie Murphy, Grace Victory, No Filter, Arden Rose, Almost Adulting, and Emma Blackery, Feel Good 101. But the books they churn out are remarkably similar. They're essentially a 300-page humble brag, an inane hybrid of me memoir, life guide, and second-hand self-help. Every story is better for a bit of redemption, and so our influencers all begin by going back to when they weren't influential and everything was shit. They were socially awkward, suffered from eating disorders, had body image issues, and spent too much time online. But then, in an astonishing turnaround, they somehow regained their confidence, spent a lot of the right kind of time online, and ended up being the one thing all young women should aspire to be: a YouTube influencer with X million subscribers and an ambassadorial role with a major cosmetics company.
Having read this, I go back to the question. I think that C is the correct answer. If I look at option A, I don't see anything about them wanting to do good in these paragraphs. For B, I could not find anything about them becoming less self-conscious. I believe D is wrong because there isn't anything about vulnerable youngsters in the text. I can support my choice for C with a bit from the last sentence of the first paragraph. But the books they churn out are remarkably similar. They're essentially a 300-page humble brag, an inane hybrid of me memoir, life guide and second-hand self-help. Note that there are two signals in this bit of text, the word but and a colon. Mind you, answers are often found in the signaling words and colons. This bit of text has both components of answer C in it, the self-centered in humble brag and me memoir, and the identical storylines in that the books are remarkably similar. I continue by reading the next question. It asks for information from paragraph 3, which I highlight. I then proceed to read the third paragraph.
This creates a problem, however, when it comes to promoting a book. What's brought these YouTubers all their followers in the first place is that they've already laid themselves bare. They've spumed out all the confessionals they have to confess over several years of 10-minute vlogs that anyone can watch free of charge. What then to put in the book?
Now I know what is said in paragraph 3, I believe the answer to this question should be A. I check the other options to see if they are truly incorrect. For option B, I can't find anything about earning money in this paragraph. For C, I am not able to see anything about their followers not liking reading. I believe D is incorrect because there's nothing about market research in this paragraph. I'm able to support my choice for answer A using a bit of text. What's brought these YouTubers all their followers in the first place is that they've already laid themselves bare. Note that the colon signals a high probability of an answer nearby. That they've already laid themselves bare means that the followers already know everything about them. This equals answer A because there's nothing more to tell. I then move on to question 15, which I read. I highlight paragraph 4 since that paragraph is needed for this question. I read the text, generally up to the gap I need to fill, plus one additional sentence. Often this is enough, but sometimes I need to read a little bit more.
Melanie Murphy, that time-honored space filler, writing about writing. For ages, I had no idea how to begin. I mean, How do you spark off a whole book about the absolute fool that is yourself? She says, almost as if she concedes she has nothing to say, but has been told by her agent to write a book because she has 50 million followers who might buy it.
Having read this bit of text, I go back to the answer options. I tried to look at the tone of the answers. I see that the tone of A is negative, B is neutral or positive, C is negative, and D is negative. This makes me believe that answer B is the correct option to choose. I fill the gap using that word and check whether my answer suits the text. I believe it is correct because that she relies on or falls back on space fillers, the writing about writing, is given as an example following the sentence with the gap. Therefore I stick with answer B. For question 16, I have to indicate whether there is irony in the 4 excerpts of the text. I've already read the text up to paragraph 4, so I only need to read paragraph 5 in full to get the whole picture. I highlight it before reading.
She then embarks on a protracted aside in which she suggests the best thing any of her readers on the search for massive vlogging empowerment could do is go and buy a different book. It was reading The Secret, Rhonda Byrne's frighteningly influential self-help guide that changed Mel's life.
I then look at all the individual quotes from the text. I believe the first one is the only one that should be answered with well. The turnaround is not astonishing, since everyone does the same thing, and that makes this quote quite ironic. Both number 2 and 3 are facts, which means that there is no irony there. Therefore I answer neat. Number 4 is an opinion. The writer considers it to be long-winded, a protracted aside. But that isn't ironic. So I answer neat. For question 17, I need to read paragraph 6. I highlight the paragraph before reading.
The vital thing, one that she stresses throughout, is that despite having lots of YouTube followers and her life appearing to be completely perfect, she's not perfect. It's important that you know that now I am literally typing this while sitting on the toilet, having a poo, she confesses, failing to note that she is metaphorically squeezing one out too.
When I read the options I can choose from, I believe A is correct. B isn't the correct answer because it isn't a topic in the book. C is incorrect because the word admire indicates a positive answer, and the text in itself is fully negative about Melanie Murphy's writing. D is incorrect because it isn't said anywhere that the book is distasteful in any way or form. I can support my choice for answer A with a bit of the text. It is important that you know that I am now literally typing this while sitting on the toilet having a poo. First of all, note the colon again, an indicator as to where to find the answer. Then the word literally is the opposite of metaphorically. The writer of the text uses this to link the two together. Squeezing one out equals having a poo. This means that the writer compares Melanie Murphy's book to poo, and that indicates a clear dislike. For this last question, I need to read the final 2 paragraphs. I highlight the bit of text that I need and then continue reading.
But it's that oversharing that quickly gets her in trouble when she describes the life of an influencer. She gets money from advertisements on YouTube. She is lucky enough to work with various brands, and sometimes she gets paid to simply show up somewhere and talk about my social media experiences. You do wonder if those who are being influenced by these influencers realize they're not just doing the blog, vlog, and now the book because sharing, connecting with people, talking about it makes the world a better place. It's also about making these authors money. And that, dear reader, is why they've bothered to write a book at all. Time to unfollow.
I want to answer A, but check whether the others are truly wrong first. I think B is wrong as I'm unable to find anything to support the writer saying that influencers are talented. C is incorrect because there is nothing about the role being important. And D is incorrect as nothing is written about audiences being interested. I can again support my choice for answer A with a bit of text. It is also about making these authors money, and that, dear reader, is why they've bothered to write a book at all. Time to unfollow. Being driven by financial gain is seen in making these authors money, and them not being worthy of our attention in time to unfollow. Checking my answers, I find that I've answered all of them correctly. If I hadn't, my next step would be to circle all the correct answers and to find phrases in the text to support these answers, as doing this would help me further along in the development of my reading skills. Now you try.